everyone. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. My name is Stephanie Huang, and I'm the Development Program Associate here at the Korea Society. Tonight, we are very excited to be hosting Dr. Christopher Chang, the Senior Vice President at Kakao Mobility, for a conversation about his career journey and insights with our moderator, Frank B., the Director of Tools and Technology at the Star Tribune. So tonight's program is the latest installment of our Young Professionals Network, or YPN, which is a program series in which we host evening events that feature guest speakers from a diverse range of industries and backgrounds. Our aim is to offer emerging professionals a platform for learning, development, and networking. So as mentioned, our guest speaker tonight, Dr. Chang, is the Senior Vice President at Kakao Mobility, which is a subsidiary of South Korea's tech giant Kakao and the operator of the Kakao T super app for transportation services. So Dr. Chang spearheads the commercialization of mobility innovation. He currently serves on the board of directors for the Korea Association of Autonomous Mobility Industry, the Korean Society of Automotive Engineers, the Institute of Electronics and Information Engineers, and the Korean Institute of Communications and Information Sciences. Previously, he has worked with Hyundai Motor Company, Samsung Electronics, Qualcomm, and NASA JPL. He received both his PhD and MS degree in electrical engineering from Caltech and graduated summa cum laude from Seoul National University. And our moderator, Frank B., is the Director of Tools and Technology at the Star Tribune, which is one of the largest newspapers in the US. Frank is a journalist, technologist, educator, and nonprofit leader passionate about the intersection of media and technology. He's also the Senior Vice President of the Asian American Journalists Association and currently lives in both Minneapolis and New York City. So now please join me in welcoming Dr. Christopher Chang and Mr. Frank B.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for coming out tonight. Really excited to be talking with Chris here. We were just talking backstage, and he has one of the most fascinating backgrounds I've ever met. And we're going to dive into that. But before we get started, I think Stephanie kind of summed it up a little bit. You've had quite the career, right? Mm-hmm. You've been at Hyundai, you've been at Samsung, you're at Kakao now. But I want to start with your PhD from Caltech real quick because get this, okay? Your thesis was titled Applications for Coding and Network Communications. And I can't be the only one who doesn't know what that means, right? So maybe you could just take, I don't know, a minute. Just tell us a little bit about your PhD and what that means. Just help us understand.
Okay, so hello everyone, good evening. It is very honored to be here today. And yes, Frank, you asked me a tough question to me. So because I got my PhD already 11 years ago, and sometimes I look back my PhD thesis, I don't even know what it means sometimes. But it is the area of the communication engineering. So I was fascinated by the communication technology when I was young, and I enrolled the electrical engineering department, the engineering department, and among the engineering departments, the subject I picked the communications because I love to talk to the friends or the other colleagues through the phone. And even when I entered the school, it was a year of 2000, and at that time, all the wireless phones really pouring. And 2007 and 8, the Steve Jobs brings the iPhone, and all the society and the world faced the innovation from that time. So I was very interested in how the communication system can enhance the human being's life and change the lifestyle. And I wanted to really deep dive the fundamental, the theory of the communication. If I were going back to the situation, I'm not sure. I choose the same pathway, but at the time I was very opt into the communication theory. So in the communication theory, it is pretty simple. There is the message I want to deliver to you. We call it signal, and the other one is noise. There will be a surrounding noise, or the other one talk to each other. And then among these noises, how can I deliver my message clearly and in a fast way. That is the basic fundamental of communication engineering. And in the communication engineering, I deep into the communication theory. And there are lots of ways to deliver my message in a more reliable fashion. So we call the kind of the techniques as a coding. If I send like a 0 or 1, yeah, it is easy to have the reliable communication if I repeat it like a 0 or 1 multiple times. Then that kind of thing is we call it coding, and the application coding has many of use cases. So fast communication, or it can be used for more reliable communication, or it can be used for the like security, like enhanced communication. So saying like an encrypted message and decrypted message and so forth. And there are lots of variations of the use cases. So my thesis was about the kind of use cases of the coding technique in the communication theory. Yeah.
It sounds like we have a lot to thank you for how we're able to communicate today, right? And I think that kind of leads us to where you are now, right? You're at Kakao Mobility, but you're a part of this greater company. Can you tell us a little bit about the company, the greater company that you work for? Just help us understand kind of the breadth of the company and how many different parts of it there are and what impact it has in South Korea and the world.
Okay, that is very good question. So Kakao is you may heard about the Kakao the company. So it is the very like well known the messengers like WhatsApp or the Facebook Messenger. It is pretty like a dominant the messenger for in Korea. So it has like every single the Korean use Kakao Messenger for their daily communication, and in other like countries in Asia or Southeast Asia, there are lots of like a population utilizing the Kakao messengers. So it started a decade ago of its like a mobile messenger services when the iPhone comes out to the world at the time. Kakao started to gather lots of like users, and lots of users communicate each other through the Kakao Messenger. We call it Kakao Talk. And based on this, the lots of users and network, so-called network effect, Kakao expanded its businesses to different areas. So, for example, the mobility service. If you want to ride the Uber or Lyft, it is the mobility services. And Kakao has like a mobility service where I'm belong to. Where I'm work for. So Kakao Mobility is matching the mobility supplier and mobility the demand the passengers. And the Kakao Pay, which is the fintech company, is the matching the financial supplier and financial consumers in the finance sector. And there is another company called Kakao Commerce that is connecting the merchandise supplier and the consumers like this. And also Kakao has the entertainment business as well. So entertainment and IP business. So lots of K-pops and the singers and the IPs are generated in the Kakao entertainment, and it expands our businesses a lot. Currently Kakao, so one of vision is to the nourish the personal life and the innovator lifestyle for the human beings. So in the vision, there are lots of different kinds of the Kakao services based on its like a network effect and the service innovations. Yeah.
And we were talking in the back too. We're trying to kind of find a company to compare with a little bit. And it's really hard in the US, but in China, you said it was something similar more in Asia countries, right?
That is true because in Korea, the Kakao has a pretty like a dominant and position in every single like services. But in the US, it is different. Yeah, if you like use like a searching engine or like an advertisement kind of platform, definitely it is Google. Well, absolutely, Google has a lot of different like types of innovation like services, but still, when you think of like a search and advertisement, then Google will, comes up first. And if you think about like online commerce, then probably Amazon will comes up first in your mind. And if you think about like a ride hailing, probably Uber and Lyft will come up very first. And then like the listening to music or things, then Spotify will come up first. But in Korea, if you think of the commerce, you may think of like a Coupang for sure, but Kakao Talk, Kakao Commerce is one of the big the online commerce engine, and also the Kakao Pay or Kakao the Music, Kakao Entertainment, and Kakao Taxi. So all things are all together, and this kind of like. The big giant can be found in China as well, like a Baidu or like a or QQ. There are lots of like the iTech companies, and they expand their businesses based on the network effect. So which we can find pretty like often in China as well. Yeah.
And one more question before I throw it back a little bit to kind of how you got to where you are now. But tell us a little bit about what you do at Kakao Mobility right now.
So in Kakao Mobility, I'm responsible for let me say in two angles. So in the functional like a perspective, I'm dealing with strategy, business development, and R&D for the new mobility technologies. And in the like use case or the service perspective, the service topic includes autonomous driving or the robotics delivery, and the UAM, urban air mobility, and the digital twin solution, which we may cover later on during our dialogue today. So I cover this like a new new mobility technology. I'm doing like a basically the strategy, business development, and R&D. Yeah, everything. Yeah.
I mean, everything. I mean, we're going to talk about it a little bit too, but I learned just talking with you in the back too. Digital twin solution is something that you said we might cover later. And urban air mobility, I mean, we're talking about air taxis, right? And flying taxis, right? So something to look forward to in our conversation. But before we get there, I want to ask you, what sparked your interest in engineering?
So engineering. So I've been in like in engineers during my like a PhD and my early days, but I switched to the business development and the strategy side when I first coming to the industry. So when I entered joined the Samsung. So last about like 10 years, I was out of like engineering field. I did more on the like strategy and the business development and make things of the service based out of the engineering parts. But now when I joined the Kakao Mobility, this new thing, we don't have that much technology then. So and it was not ready technology. So someone has to develop the R&D for this like a new technology. And even though I'm not like a skilled engineer based on my experiences, but I had some like gut feelings then what is important and what is not important. So yeah, I got this like a leadership in the R&D part, but definitely I cannot do all by myself, and my like the amazing team is working together for this like engineering and R&D development. Yeah.
And let me ask you, what does R&D mean to you?
R&D, it is very like a tough question. So I a while ago, yeah, I was sometimes I regret myself. I should have chose R&D for my like a career path after my PhD. Why I chose like a strategy and business development? Because strategy and the business development is pretty like a challenging to turn out to be like a good like outcomes because there are so many like conditions and surroundings that impact on the outcomes of the entire task, whereas the R&D it has pretty like the straightforward the goal and to make the achievement. It is, I thought, yeah, it is more like straightforward than this like a sophisticated like a business and strategy and this world. So R&D was kind of my like a painful the baby finger, but now I'm becomes more comfortable, and if I like search the new state of the technology developed in the area, it makes like thrilled and feel alive. So R&D is kind of like my adorable like a child. Yeah, that I missed for a long time during the last 10 years.
And let me ask you, for R&D and what you do now at Kakao Mobility, what are the challenges that you're trying to solve?
I'm responsible for the R&D of, as I mentioned earlier, the autonomous driving and the robotics and the digital twins. And the one of the biggest challenges is all this like a new technology. This is very like a capital intensive the area. So the Waymo and the Cruise, they invested a few billions dollars per year. And they've been in this industry for like almost a decade and more than decade. And this like a tons of investment is kind of like a prerequisite for this R&D for the autonomous driving. Then how can we do that? Can we compete with like other like a tech giant in United States and put like a billions of money per year, but which is not feasible sometimes. So in given that condition, we have to figure out which way we crack the challenges and we make the strategies. And that's why I'm taking responsibility for the strategy and the R&D as well. So I do kind of like a ping pong strategy when I build up like a strategy and based on our all the constraint, and we fit our like R&D direction in accordance with our strategy. But if we do like a R&D, then as it progresses, then we should modify and rectify our strategy and vice versa. So this R&D, we do autonomous driving technology and digital twin technology and robotics technology with our partners as well as our in-house team. So I always think about what is good and what is the best pathway in given like business conditions or the surroundings. Yeah, that is my role.
So, in the beginning, you said, getting the money is the prerequisite for a lot of the things that we do, but how do you get the money? Right? What is the conversation that you're having, and what skills are you using to have that conversation where, hey boss, I need billions of dollars to make taxis fly? Like, what is that conversation like, and what can we learn about what you're doing in those conversations to make that happen?
Yes. So it is very like a tough question I face every single day. So definitely, if I put like say like hundreds of million to autonomous drive tech development, after 1 year, what I get like a few autonomous taxi cab in Seoul, or I failed because it is too complicated situations. Then what if I invested $100 million to the taxi current, like a taxi services or our navigation services? Then it might have generated tons of money out of it. So always our like a CEO or even our like shareholders think about trade-off between these two. But this is kind of like a future. So I persuade them in twofold. One is vision and social responsibility. So if Kakao Mobility doesn't do autonomous driving or the digital twin or the air mobility, who else can do? We have this kind of like a services, and every single like a Korean national use these services. And then we have a responsibility. And in terms of like technology or the data security, the Kakao Mobility should be the kind of nation, the delegate of these like technologies. And that is one thing, but it doesn't work pretty well. And the second fold is kind of like a valuation. So I compare with the companies in United States or in China who claims their like a valuation based on their the next generation technologies. So like there are lots of autonomous driving tech companies or robotics company or the mapping companies have a pretty high like a company valuation. Then we persuade that hey, this is the future, and all the like a capital market stay focused on this like a new technology and new business opportunities. So even though it doesn't come up with like a few $100 million in the coming year, but it will turn it to be like a big businesses in next 3 years or next 5 years time frame. So we should invest this time. Otherwise, if we lose the opportunity, then we will lose the entire game. So yeah, what should we do? Kind of like the persuasion, negotiation. Yeah,
Sounds
I
like you're very
always face.
skilled at it. And I mean, it sounds like you also have a culture that has your company that has that expectation and understands, right? So I think this is a good moment to ask, you've been at some of the biggest companies in South Korea, Hyundai, Samsung. Tell us a little bit about how the cultures have been different in some of these major South Korean companies.
That's good. So I sometimes think about like this one. So if I were Samsung SVP or the Hyundai SVP, then I may have more like a easier life, yeah, to make this kind of decision. Yeah, this is the half joke and half real, but the Samsung, Hyundai, and Kakao, all three have very different culture and very different characteristic. I don't say which one is the best culture or which one is worse than the other, but they are each one is has been optimized in their domain. So for the like a manufacturing like a businesses, then probably Samsung like a systematic like a culture can be very, very efficient. Whereas the Kakao or the Kakao Mobility, we are a service platform company. So life cycle is very short. We very fastly launch the services and tap the opportunity and get the feedback from the real users. And then we have fixed the problem and relaunch the problem, etc. And to understand the users, the sentiment is very kind of frequent and very like time sensitive. And in this culture, this kind of like a systematic, the gear like the culture may not be successful compared to the manufacturing business itself. So in Kakao, everything is kind of very like it is very far from the top-down approach. So every like a single person has their own opinion, just like the U.S. Most of the U.S. companies. It is not hierarchical. So every like a single person the shout out their voices and persuade each other. Even like a SVP or the EVP or even CEO, they do not force the certain direction to the company as well. So everything is kind of democratized, but sometimes it is not very efficient, and sometimes it's not as fast as I expect. But still, we stick to this kind of like a culture because in that way we can create more like. Innovative like a product and services. Yeah, so the cultures are quite different. Yeah.
I know there are a lot of young professionals in the audience today too. What advice would you give to them about being in a new workplace, trying to pick up on that culture to be the most effective? I mean, obviously you've been into a lot of different cultures. You probably have had to use those muscles a lot. What kind of advice would you give to the folks in the audience?
So actually it depends on your like age or on your like the career position. So in the like a very early stage, right after the undergrads or right after your the graduate degrees, my advice is yeah, please get lessons or get like experiences as much as possible. So I didn't intend, but like working in Hyundai and working in Samsung's and working in JPL and working in Qualcomm, all these experiences are quite different and its own like a characteristic. So it made me like build like a more like a muscle to handle certain situations in different like cultures. And in the like a middle of like your career path, or even like even in beyond, then you can control yourself in the big umbrella of the company, and you can handle your own organization with your own culture. If you have lots of different like cultural experiences, then you may think of which cultural direction may be the best fit for your own team in under the umbrella of the enterprise. But this kind of approach may not work every time. But I think this is worthwhile to give give it a shot. Yeah. Mm.
What does a day in a life of a senior vice president at Kakao Mobility look like? Tell us a little bit. What does your day look like? Is it a lot of meetings? Are you reading? I mean, tell us a little bit about what your day looks like.
I'm always complaining about too many meetings, but it is same as the other companies. But as I mentioned, the Kakao and Kakao Mobility, it is kind of very like democratized. So I have to listen to all my like the colleagues as well. So I do not listen only to like VPs or the like directors, but I have to listen to all the like managers or associates and everyone's voices. So that's why it takes too much time, and there are and too many like emails to ask me to make a decision as fast as possible. So I have to digest all this kind of different decision making request, or like a one-on-one request, all the things. So it is pretty hectic, but it is pretty like enjoyable. Yeah, I prefer the meeting for like a one-on-one with like a juniors and more. And yeah, I value very high of this kind of like the interaction with my colleagues. Yeah.
And what's motivating you along the way?
So everything is like from like a human. Yeah, everything is from like a colleagues. Everything is coming from the culture. So even though I have a lot of roles and responsibility in the company, I'm not a Superman. Yeah, I have a limited time of work, and I have limited my like expertise. I have my limited capability for sure. So the good team and good managers and good culture that can only enable all the different like challenges and different like missions. So my motivation all comes from the human and my colleagues. So that's why I spend more time to interact with colleagues. Yeah.
And I think, when I think of Kakao Mobility, and before we talked in the back too, but I think of, the getting a ride, right? Or other things. But what are some things about your branch of Kakao that maybe folks are not thinking about that you would like for them to know what you're thinking about, how you're thinking about it?
So it is pretty tricky question. So Kakao Mobility has pretty unique and dominant position. So if someone take a look at the recent like newspapers the issued in Korea, Kakao and the Kakao Mobility has a lot of kind of issues in politics and in the IT society. So the Kakao Mobility has pretty like a monopoly position in the ride-hailing businesses with a market share over like 90%. So lots of kind of like a responsibility and like a social like a responsibility is expected to Kakao Mobility. And the Kakao itself is a platform company. So platform means we always care about both sides, the supplier and the client. We cannot only deal with the users like the behavior or the users like a value. We have to take care of the suppliers beneficiaries as well, so benevolence. So in this game, it is pretty tricky to crack the challenges in both ways. So the lots of like the people see our company from the outside is Kakao mobility is not sustainable, or they are not far less like a benevolence than expected. But what we are trying to do is we have lots of like more campaigns to let them know what we are doing and what we are investing and what we are doing like R&D, because lots of people doesn't understand what Kakao Mobility is doing for the future, like autonomous driving or the like a mapping or air mobility or robotics. So what I'm responsible in this company is kind of, we call it technology communication. So annually we hold the technology conference called the NEMO. NEMO stands for the Next Mobility. It is the annual event. So we had it twice already. And from this like a conference, we share our new technology and what we are doing with our partners and what we have been achieved and what we will do in this like a technology field. So from this kind of like engagement and technology communication, we try to sync up with what people expect to the Kakao Mobility and what we are doing to the community and the people. So this is a pretty like fun task I am responsible for too. Yeah.
It sounds very challenging and very impactful too. I mean, let's talk about some of those emerging businesses that you're looking into. I mean, autonomous systems and platforms, digital twin solutions, urban aero mobility, UAM, is that correct? Can you just tell us quickly, what is digital twin solutions?
Okay. So when you go to a certain place you are not familiar with, what do you do first? Search. And how can you get to there? Yeah, you can watch the Google Map and simulate the path, and you can take the Uber, or you can take the Lyft, or you can go on foot, or you can take the subway, because Google Map tells you everything. But the machines, the robots, autonomous vehicle, they are very smart, but not as clever as human beings. So they need way more precise information. So if you are looking at the Google Map, the GPS is not very precise, especially in this like a New York with surroundings of the tallest buildings. In this case, even though my dot is like in different like a pedestrian road in the opposite way, it is okay. I can just follow the 6th Avenue or Madison Avenue. It doesn't matter I'm in this side or this side. But for the machine, for the robot or autonomous vehicle, one lane change can cause a lot of problems. So only few centimeters can be allowed. So for the robotics, for the machine, for the autonomous vehicle, even for the UAM with unmanned the pilot system, they need a very precise information, and we call that digital twin. So twins means literally the same like a feature. So digital twin is mimicking the real world, and we have very like precise information with accuracy. So we call it a digital twin. Yeah,
that's amazing. And let's talk about urban air mobility next. I mean, you know, as a layman, I would understand that as air taxis, right? Can you tell us a little bit more on what you think are the future of urban air mobility?
Yes, urban air mobility is the future, definitely, especially in this kind of like a congested area. Today, I came from like a Union Square to Korea Society. It took like almost an hour by the Uber cab. So I should have walked along the pathway, but yeah. And from the John F. Kennedy this morning, I landed at John F. Kennedy, and I came to the Manhattan. It took me 1 and 40 hours Yeah, it's crazy, but still, we think about what can be done. But in this kind of like congestion scenario, we cannot ban taxi cabs and we cannot ban like a personal like a vehicles, right? So we have to go in three dimension. We have to fly, but we have the solutions like a chopper. Yeah, there are lots of like a choppers, and you can take a chopper from John F. Kennedy to Manhattan, but it is expensive, right? And it is noisy, right? And it is, yeah, not that safe. Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I guess because it has only two propellers. So if one fails, then it's done, right? Yeah, unfortunately.
Telling me.
So the UAM is the kind of like a solution against current situation. We want to avoid headache of the congestion in the urban city, but we want more affordable solution, and we want like a more safe solution, and we do not want any noise. I do not want anything hovering around with like the gusts, wind gust and the noises every single day on top of my apartment, right? So the solution is the UAM, which take advantage of the eVTOL. eVTOL stands for electric, V vertical takeoff and landing. So this motion is very similar to the chopper or helicopter, but it has like a more propellers and it has wing, and more importantly, it is powered by electric batteries, so it doesn't have any noise. Yeah. So usually our like the limit is the affordable limit is about like a 63 decibel, on the up in the air or in the taxiing. Uh, 63 decibel is just a noise level less than the classroom. Yeah. Yeah, so it is very like a quiet, and also it has a like a we call them multicopter. It has like a six like a propellers or like a, even like a 12 the rotors propellers. So even if one or two rotors are failed, still we can balance with other like a propellers each other. So, and also it has a wing, so it can cruise even in the very like adversarial like scenarios. So urban air mobility becomes a very like focused solution to track the challenges in the urban area. And I want to emphasize this, and lastly, that urban air mobility is not the far away, like a futuristic solution. Yeah, it will comes from next year. You will see the UAM, like a demo cases in Paris Olympics, and in Singapore, and in Japan expos, and certain places in Europe. And probably in United States. In fact, a few weeks ago in Manhattan, there is a demo cases of the UAM actually. So
Really?
a few the manufacturer flight their aircraft in Manhattan, southern part of the Manhattan, but which is still like the preliminary version of the aircraft. But next year you will see the real the operation, and lots of government are aiming to launch their commercial service from 2025. In New York and Chicago, some of the companies are talking with the municipal government to launch service, and also in Korea, the Korea government is very pushing hard to commercialize the service in the later 2025, and in Japan, Singapore, and in Paris, London. Lots of government is targeting 2025 or 2026. So yeah, it is not far away, and you will see in next year and or so. Yeah.
You heard it here first. Well, you're really working to bring the future to us, and I want to ask you one last question before we open into Q&A. But what you do sounds like it takes a lot of different skills, right? You have to have the kind of the engineering, the scientific background. You have to know regulation, right? You have to understand and read and know where it's going. But then you also have to have your leadership skills. For folks who might want to follow your footsteps in this room, what advice would you give to them for them to think about, for them to do to follow in your footsteps?
Okay, great. Thanks for the great question. So the first thing is I cannot boil the ocean all by myself. Yeah, eventually it is a team. So I need the someone who I can trust to ask and to give or allocate the problem, and how can I believe in, and with the rationale. Yeah, I'm has to be like persuaded, and I should be convinced from the approaches. So the very important thing is the team and the empowerment to the teams. So that is the first one, and the second is always think in others shoe. So when I talk with the policy makers or the regulators or the payers, what do they want? Yeah, that is my first question always. Probably the others like a consultant and other like a professional, they know way more than more a lot more than myself, but always but it doesn't mean I have to tell them what they want to hear about. Sometimes I have to give my voice loud for sure, but most of the time even though I have this kind of like a product or this kind of approach, I have to like tell them in different facets of this like a product, right? So if I, what if I or policymakers, then what really matters to him? Then with the same product, I have to tell them in that direction, and the others and so forth. So this kind of thing is gave me lots of like responsibilities and lots of things to think about. But it is a very great opportunity for myself as well. So so always like think about kind of like play games, yeah, with different like roles and responsibility. So I think that's how I'm the crack the challenges every day. But frankly speaking, I'm not sure this is the best way. So I always like seeking for the advice from my like mentors and my like seniors. Yeah, in the same way. Yeah.
Very good. Well, thank you so much for being here with us today.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
And now we'll open it up to Q&A. Yeah, Stephanie has a mic. Raise your hand and we'll bring the mic over to you.
Hi, nice to meet you. So from your strategy perspective and also from your R&D background as well, what is it like in the thought process to stay ahead of your competitors? So like Uber already has autonomous rideshare and they've been developing it for the last couple of years. But what's it like for Kakao Mobility to stay ahead of your competitors and make sure that you guys are going to be leading the industry?
Yeah, that is a very good question. So we always think about kind of, we call in the company asymmetric approach. So we cannot win against our competitors if we do the same approach with our like competitors. Actually, the Korea is pretty like a specific cases. So the Korean market, the taxi market is highly regulated. So we cannot do the same way what Uber or the Lyft has been done in United States. So we invented kind of way to hail the real taxi cabs, and we make the like a franchise businesses for the like a taxi services, and to enhance the user experiences, and to for the taxi drivers earn like a more money out of it. So with this kind of different approach, we can compete against our like competitors in Korea, and also we expand our the taxi businesses in the globe as well. So this year we acquired a company called Split, which is a British the mobility roaming company. So what they are doing is the interconnecting the local mobility providers to the certain platform. So if I'm Korean and using Kakao T application, I just bring my phone to Paris, and I just use the Kakao T application just as like I am in Korea. Then this application will hook up the G7 taxi or the Get Taxi in Paris. And if I go to Singapore, I do the same thing with my Kakao T app. Then Grab Taxi will come to pick you up. Yeah. So this approach is pretty like a unique, and it is very different from what Uber did. And this kind of like a asymmetric approach is kind of like a key point for us to crack the challenges. Yeah.
Question.
Mm.
We have one over here.
Thank you for the speech. You just mentioned your strategy about expanding to overseas, like Sprit. But I'd like to hear more about your plan to expand the business overseas, like United States or Europe. I mean, given that your business in Korea is very much a monopoly.
Yes. So actually, this year, 2023, the top notch mission was the globalization. So in Korea, we had a quite a successful business, but definitely we cannot grow as much as possible than before. So we take a look at the global market, and there are lots of different like approaches. So we can like contract directly with the local companies, but it turned out to be it is not as scalable as we expected. So in the very early stage, we offer our services in Japan and in Guam. With our own services contracted with the local partners, but there are like definitely pros and cons, but we can launch it in a very fast way. But it is pretty hard for us to scale up our businesses where we do not have any footprint. So that's why we acquired the company Split, and very easily we can expand our services to like the couple of dozens of countries at this moment. So that strategy was pretty like valid, we believe. And next, our mission is this is like outbound traffic, like the Kakao Tea users from Korea, if they go to the United States or the Europe or the Southeast Asia, okay, they can use a Kakao Tea app, but the more like a blue ocean is the all the like a global like a citizens. Yeah, we want them use a Kakao Tea when they are in United States or when they are in like South Africa, when they are in like a Singapore. So that is our like a next targeted mission. So we are doing lots of like strategic investment and strategic like a business development for that, and probably later this year or the early next year, you will see this kind of like our effort outcomes soon.
Thank you, Dr. Chang. My name is Sean Lee from Columbia School of International Public Affairs. I personally found your story about the UAMs very interesting. Are there any ongoing or plans to apply those technology to the Kakao e-commerce data repositories, like a aerial delivery system? Because I felt like I came across a few articles where they started these demonstrations a few years back. So I was wondering if you have similar plans for that.
You mean the logistics, the application?
Yes.
Okay. That is pretty like a challenging question. So since we are mobility, we always think about both human transportation and moving goods, and also moving services. So for the like in the UAM sector, like 5 years ago or like 7 years ago, lots of company invested moving goods through the like a drone, like Amazon and other like a lots of like Chinese companies. But I don't know, which turned out to be not very like successful or as expected before. So currently, all the like UAM businesses is more focused on the like human transportation at this moment. I think the main reason is first the regulation and the business model and the technology and the feasibility and the social acceptance. So all these five like elements are not siloed. They are tangled together in very like a sophisticated equation. And for the like a drones, it has the same like a regulation. But like a less regulation than the human transportation, but still it is pretty like a lots of like a regulation because it is hovering around on top of the citizens. So there are lots of like a regulation. But for like a business wise, like a transporting like a one goods is like a far less than transporting one human being to the other location. So in business model wise, the unit cost is way far less than the human being. So given like a constraint, technology, regulation, social acceptance, all the things. So like an industry is more like a focus on the human transportation at this moment. But actually, the next like a big milestone will be the social acceptance. So the UAM, I believe the next pathway will be not just like the commute, the application, but probably like the EMS, the emergency, the medical system, like or the equipment, like the transportation will be a good like a reference case to the open up the businesses, and then with the social acceptance, and the people think, oh, okay, that is okay. It is not as noisy I expected, and it doesn't look very dangerous, and okay, that is good. And then after we get the social acceptance and sentiment, then we can move to the next phase. So in that example, we can think about like a moving goods, but not like a commercial goods kind of thing, but it's more like a special cases. So for like you didn't ask about the autonomous the vehicles, but I want to emphasize that the autonomous vehicle has more opportunity in like a moving goods and moving like a human beings as well. So and also moving like a services as well. So during the COVID-19, we have all experiences the like moving services. Like for example, the food delivery, is it like a moving goods or moving services? Yeah, it can be moving services. Yeah, I want to eat, but it bring the services to my apartment. Yeah. So moving services is very important in the domain of autonomous driving, because autonomous driving, it means literally there is no human drivers. It is all machines. It means the cabin itself will be your next room or next to your office. It can be your own like a territory. So it is like a very like a private environment. So you can have a conference call, or you can sleep, or you can watch movie, or you can do anything. So this kind of like the private cabin will be very different from what we have experiences in like the conventional like a car, like over like 100 years. So moving like a services, or moving like a restaurant, or moving barbershop, or moving like a shoe, like the pop-up stores can be possible within the autonomous vehicle. So we see lots of this kind of like a fun use cases in the domain of autonomous cases, and definitely we will expand it to the urban air mobility, the spectrums. So this is what I am thinking about, and I'm not sure I answered to your question. Yeah.
Those are great applications, by the way, too. Yeah. Do we have time for one more question, Stephanie?
Maybe two more.
Two more? Oh, we have one over here in the back corner. She's had her hand up for a little bit. And then we can go to the next one, yeah.
Okay, I will answer the quick, so we may accompany like three questions, more questions. Yeah.
Okay, so mine is more of a philosophical kind of question, and I will preface it because I'm not a tech person. My brain usually focuses on the other side. I'm more artistic, more like humanities, people oriented. So I'm listening to all of this, and I'm like, oh, this is a big wow factor. Like I'm working on being a fiction writer, so definitely this is like stuff that's really, really good for fiction writing. But at the same time, I'm hearing a lot of this is what I keep hearing: replacing people. What is supposed to happen with all of these displaced people from jobs? Because if taxis are replaced, those are people that need jobs. I don't know if you're aware of like things in America. The protests that were going on with like the writer's strike.
Absolutely.
And was SAG, and one of the main things was making sure that there was a certain amount of keeping the humanity
Absolutely.
inside of the company, so there's not everybody's replaced by robots. Is there any, I guess, legislation being put in place to make sure that doesn't happen?
Sorry, have you thought about becoming a journalist? Because that's a great question. So sorry, after you.
That is great.
I have flirted with that idea. Because I do all sorts of writing, so yes, I do.
That is
Yes.
a great question and very like a sensitive question we always think about. To commercialize the autonomous services or robotic services, technology is not everything. Yeah, even though technology is there and the regulation is over there, still the social acceptance as well as this social the core prosperity really matter. So what about all the transportation labors, workers? So we think about all different possibilities. So our vision itself is let's nourish people and let them focus on more creative works in the era of the AI, because AI era is kind of inevitable. Yeah, right. So we have to prepare in somehow. So, for example, in Korea, there are lots of the subway trains operated automatically. Then what about the kind of the pilot, the train drivers? They are doing all the kind of monitoring, maintenance, and the security kind of thing in the cabin. So they walk around in the 10 cars of the train, and they check all the everything is okay, and any altercation or problem or the things. So they can they becomes a kind of cabin manager, right? So there is still a human being, a human driver or human manager within the car, but he's not driving a train, but he's doing the security or the maintenance or the other things. And also if I'm kind of like a DHL driver, DHL driver has a lot of things other than driving itself. He has to sort all the boxes and put it in the beautiful way and put it efficient, allocate the parcels and packages to the doorstep, etc. And everything has to be in order, right? And it takes lots of time from the facility itself. So we can minimize this kind of time. The car is driving by the system, by the AI itself, and while driving, he can in the back he can sort, and he can reallocate locate the parcels in the beautiful way, and then he can minimize his a labor time or a labor itself. So we believe this kind of approach can be beneficial for the drivers, not just to take their job opportunity out of them. So this is what we are thinking. Yeah, but still long way to go. Yeah. Okay, thank you for the good question.
Hi, my name is Shati. Great talk. I'm really interested in digital twins and the concept of that. There have been a couple startups that have tried to do that in the US and they've largely failed, unfortunately. I'm interested to hear for Kakao Mobility, you see that as an emerging product. Have you identified potential end users for that product beyond just self-serving Kakao itself, right? Because
Sure.
it could be just for Kakao and all of its verticals, but
Yes,
have
yes.
you identified additional end ususers?
Yes, I cannot say the digital twin is a good business for Kakao Mobility yet. So we developed this digital twin solution all in-house. And as Shruti, you mentioned, it is very kind of expensive to construct. And even worse, to maintain the updated information is even harder, right? So think about it. The United States is a huge country. You construct all the precise and accurate, more accurate information. 1 kilometer by 1 mile by 1 miles, entire like a continent. And then the worst thing is you have to update it every single day because in the street, every 5 minutes, the construction cone can be moved from this side to that side, right? It is very like a costly. So the first we developed the automated solutions. All the like taxi cabs and the cars, they equipped it with the camera on the windshield, right? So to gather all this information, we can automatically detect the changes, and then we update that only part. We do not want to update the US continent at all times. We just detect the changes and we updated it. So we reduce the cost a lot. And the potential application was your question. So I'm sorry. Excuse me. Yeah, let me take the water for. So autonomous vehicle is not the only case. So autonomous vehicle and the delivery robot, they can use the digital twin. But another very interesting examples are the construction site or the engineering company. We call that EPC, the large construction. So they have to simulate how to build the large the facility or large building or large wind like the generator, etc. Then they have to simulate all the like a pathway to construct or the moving elements or moving stops along the way. Then they need this kind of digital twin solution to construct a certain building or certain like a bridge or certain dam or even for the like a cities. So lots of like a smart city concept is based on the digital twin solution, and also lots of like a smart factory. So recently Mercedes-Benz or the BMW and even Hyundai Motors, they constructed the brand new like a smart factory. It doesn't mean everything is automated, but when they plan and build the construction facility, they do lots of like a simulation based on the digital twin solution, and then have the minimize the errors, while constructing the entire facility. So digital twin, it has a lot of use cases and application, and it will open up lots of business opportunity, I believe.
We have time for one more question. Is that right? Okay.
I have two interrelated questions. It'll be quick, sorry. So I understand that you worked at Hyundai and Samsung along with Kakao. So I see Samsung and Hyundai as more of a company that started as hardware companies that have now software components, but I see Kakao as the inverse. It started a software company with hardware components. So have you seen sort of the difference in terms of the overall high-level strategy when it comes to business development and R&D with these two different paths? And related question to that is software and hardware, there are very different problems, right? Especially Kakao focusing on that. It's solving like online communications. So where are the areas that you've seen where software translates very well to hardware problems that we're speaking about with drones? And where are the areas that you feel has not really been as effective with the domain knowledge that's been accumulated with the software component as it's been translated?
Okay.
Great question.
Yeah. It's a very like a manufacturing like a product is very different from making a service platform or the product itself. So even between Hyundai and Samsung, their life cycle is very different, right? So Samsung, they are making the semiconductor and they are making like a TV or they're making the mobile phones. Their life cycle is far like shorter than the car itself. So Hyundai, they take some like more time, like 6 to 7 years to develop the car platform itself. And if people purchase the car, then they purchase it like a few years. So every like a single error can result in like a fatal problems to the company, even though there is like a process of the recall, but it costs a lot of like billions of money, right? So Hyundai and Samsung, they has to be very, very like a systematic and very, very like a error tolerant like a system they are pursuing. So the culture itself is very like a systematic and everything is modularized. So whereas software services, definitely software service also has lots of like impact to the social. What if like a Kakao Mobility or the Facebook suffer from the leakage of the personal information or like a security, like information privacy? it will doom the company, right? But it is kind of like a different like a process compared to the manufacturing like companies. Lots of like companies trying to do both, right? The Samsung, when I was in Samsung, our like every mission, like a strategic topic is how we can turn to the like a software-driven company. Yeah, while we are doing this like a hardware business every single day, it is not easy at all. Hyundai is has a vision that we will make the company like a more like a software focused company. We will hire thousands or the few tens of thousands of like a software engineers to make a like a software driven company. But we'll see. But it is not easy task. The only company is successful in doing both so far I know is Apple and probably Nvidia. Yeah. But actually, Apple, they are not really like a manufacturing the chipset or phones. They do like they are using a contract manufacturer, right? So they are on more like a software side, but still they are doing like a both, and the Nvidia as well. But this is very like a tricky, like a transition from like hardware to software, and from software to hardware. It is very very tricky and very like a challenging task because DNAs are so different. Yeah, is quite opposite. And your second question was probably there are like a good examples in Apple and the Nvidia. So Apple, yeah, they started as a company of just like a personal computer, like a PC, like a Macintosh, Mac. And they are doing their own like a software platform, like a OS and all the like a software tools. But these two things are mingled together and the optimize the product very very first time. And then once they have launched the iPhone and all the like the OS. The software is produced by Apple itself. So this like a system is very like a unique and very like a successful. But it is not a kind of like a transition, from one to another, right? So they are doing from it's like a genesis of the company itself. So or like a team structure and like the management structure should be very like focused for like both tracks. So this kind of like approach is only be successful, but it is not guaranteed it will be successful if we like other companies mimic the Apple's way, because that is Apple. So I don't know. Yeah, frankly, I don't know the quite a good answer to your second question. But we benchmark lots of like a company like Nvidia and Google. I mean the Apple, yeah, etc. Yeah, and thank you very much for the great questions.
Yeah, a lot of great questions tonight. Let's give them a round of applause. One more.
Thank you very much.
And I'll throw it to Stephanie to close us out.
Yeah, thank you all so much for joining us, and thank you to our speakers. So the Korea Society is really grateful to all of our friends, members, supporters for making programs like this possible. And for anybody new to the Korea Society, if you're interested in joining our membership program, or if you're curious about our Young Professionals Network or organization in general, I'll be available post-program, and I'm happy to answer any of your questions. So one thing I do want to mention is that our membership program is offering a holiday giveaway for the month of December. So if you or anybody you know is interested in joining, we'll be giving away one Seolhwasu gift set to anyone who is renewing or newly joining the Korea Society. And that same pool of entrants will also be automatically entered into a raffle from which 2 winners will win a Samsung projector. And okay, so now we'll be concluding our evening program with some food and drinks, which are available in the back of the room. Our food tonight is provided by Ongi Restaurant, and some of our refreshments include alcohol options, so that's available only to our audience members over the age of 21. Feel free to hang out and chat for a while, and thank you all so much again. Enjoy your meal.
Thank you very much, your friend.
Thank you.